The greatest gladiator match in the history of the world. God versus man.
This year, Marvel and DC are both releasing sequels featuring a clash of their own superpowered bad guys. Marvel's Captain America and Iron Man have at least bickered on screen before in the two Avengers outings, but Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice marks the first time DC's title characters, who are arguably the most famous in comics, have shared the same space in a live-action film. Regardless of your thoughts on Man of Steel, this fact alone creates an instant aura of a must-see. Structurally similar to its predecessor, Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice takes its time establishing the reality-grounded sci-fi setting ahead of the main attraction dust-up. If the title clash ultimately disappoints, the world building that leads up to it has plenty to offer. In the very, very dark grey, not black, corner is Ben Affleck's grizzled caped crusader, a vigilante grown weary of the endless task of trying to clean up Gotham's underworld. In the red and blue corner, Kal-El, or Clark Kent, played by Henry Cavill, is holding down a job at the Daily Planet, tasked with covering sports when he'd rather be writing an expose on the Bat. And global opinion is divided on his alter ego Superman. Do his heroic deeds justify the collateral damage he causes?
People hate what they don't understand.
In the second prologue, after the obligatory recap of Bruce Wayne's tragic childhood, a Wayne financial building containing several stories of employees is destroyed during Superman's previous climactic battle with General Zod. An event replayed at ground level in a thrilling new perspective on the destruction. From the wreckage, Bruce makes it his mission to prevent Superman from causing any more damage, by neutralizing the threat.
If we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
Jumping ahead 18 months, Snyder continues the story at a rollicking pace, with Lois Lane, who's actually given more to do than you might expect, chasing a story in Africa, while Lex Luthor Jr., played by Jesse Eisenberg, has a particular interest in the Kryptonian vessels lying dormant in various crash sites around the world. Meanwhile, the enigmatic Diana Pierce, that's Wonder Woman, develops a habit of turning up at all the fancy parties that Bruce finds himself snooping around.
Oh, I don't think you've ever known a woman like me.
Christopher Nolan's Batman films aren't part of this canon, but that doesn't mean their influence is not keenly felt. Largely sticking with the grounded approach that made the Dark Knight trilogy so compelling, this isn't a new radical interpretation of the Caped Crusader, so it's credit to Affleck and the enduring popularity of the character that it doesn't feel too soon to have him on screen again. Aided by Snyder's visual verve, it's an extremely faithful take on the character, and alone, he's responsible for many of the film's best moments. In fact, what's perhaps most surprising is that Batman vs Superman is at its best when the heroes are apart, and when it comes to the clash itself, there's an inescapable feeling of an anti-climax. Not only does the animosity between the pair never feel fully earned, the eventual bout doesn't quite justify the pre-release hype, or make the most of its historical significance. Goosebumps are inevitable when the two icons are finally pitted against each other, and there are some spectacular clobberings dispensed, but it doesn't feel like, as Lex pitched it, the greatest gladiator battle in the history of the world. And if it sounds like Batman's vengeance mission is in part to atone for the criticism towards Man of Steel's destruction porn finale, it's not. Batman vs Superman ends with a similarly numbing CG overload. As in Iron Man 2, there's a sense that Dawn of Justice, as the subtitle implies, is a bridging device, a platform to launch a larger cinematic universe, and as such it might work better when viewed as a 10-part film collection than it does as a standalone. Even if it's at the cost of its central conflict, Batman vs Superman does work as a promo for films yet to come. There's no one who won't want to get to know Gadot's kick-ass Wonder Woman after the credits roll, while teasers of the wider world serve their excitement-generating purpose nicely. So while Batman vs Superman has no trouble quickening the pulse, it's less effective when it comes to making you care. There's plenty to gawp at, and Hans Zimmer's and Junkie XL's score electrifies, but the emotional punches never really connect, and the gritty realism occasionally draws attention to some forehead-slapping plot holes. We've given Batman vs Superman 3 stars. It won't win over staunch Man of Steel haters, but for anyone giddy at the prospect of seeing DC's flagship stars together at last, big screen viewing is pretty much mandatory.
She with you?
I thought she was with you.